Good morning, Illini. I'm Matt Schrock, your host here for Healthy Illini podcast, and it is summer. The weather is turning nice. We've had some beautiful, beautiful days outside, and for a lot of us, that means getting into outdoor activities. And so today we're going to talk about one that you may not have thought about, or you may have thought about and just kind of cast to the side and not thinking that's something that you could do, but it's for everybody, so I'm excited to jump into this. Today I'm joined by Candace Anderson. She works with the U of I Extension and is a state master gardener specialist, as if I can try and say that. And you may have no idea what that means, but I'm excited to hear more about it. So Candace, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So as you can tell, we're talking about summer activities, and gardening is our topic today. It's something that, everybody's heard about gardening. Some people may not have had much experience in it. If you're like me, you have experience in it, and that experience is seeing a lot of plants die. I am not great with plants, but I always find it fascinating for people who do work outside, who work in the soil, whether it be plants for food or for flowers, for beauty, whatever it may be. And it's a great activity to get into. But first, before we start with getting into the activity, I do want you to explain a little bit, what does it mean to be a state master gardener specialist?
Yeah, we're like, what the heck is that? And I also want to explain too what U of I Extension is, because that's a common question also. So U of I Extension is basically the outreach arm of the university. So our goal is to take the awesome research that's happening on campus and spread it to the rest of the state. So there's an extension office in almost every county in Illinois. So we're all over the state. And the Master Gardener program is a volunteer program that's run through U of I Extension. So the idea is that we train volunteers who are interested in gardening. They don't necessarily have to know anything, because that's what we train them on, is on gardening. So we teach people how to garden, and then we send them out into the community to do educational projects and better their communities. So my role as State Master Gardener Specialist then is basically to oversee the program for the state. So organize the training, continue education, all of that kind of stuff.
So that's going to segue perfectly into what I want to start with on the next part.
Excellent.
And that is, why is gardening such a great activity?
Right.
Great, let's do some education here. But we know, a lot of people know what gardening is. The general idea what it is. Yeah. But why is it such a good thing to get into? Why is it so beneficial for people?
Right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons. And I think a lot of us saw that through COVID, right? I think we had a huge increase in gardening during that period because people had time. They were home. They had the opportunity. And I think a lot of people realized it then. But obviously for health is a big reason that a lot of people garden, for their physical health, for one, to get outside and get active. But I think even more so now we're seeing the mental health benefits of getting outside, getting your hands in the soil and getting active. I think those are one of the biggest things, is for those health factors, for sure, mental and physical. And then, of course, there's the food aspect of it. Not all gardeners, of course, grow vegetables. I myself don't grow a ton of vegetables. I'm more of a flower gardener. But yeah, just being able to grow that healthy, you know what's gone into it, whether you're organic or not. There's just a lot of health benefits to that, growing your own food.
And people may not think of it this way, but really it's a good physical activity.
Absolutely.
In that you don't know it until you start it. I know this from personal experience, that you think, oh, this will be pretty low impact, pretty easy. But when you start digging in the ground, you start moving things around, the next day you're like, I'm sore. Why am I sore?
Right. Yeah.
But it does. It promotes muscle health. It promotes, even cardiovascular. It can help with some of that. And that's a huge aspect to it that you may not think of, especially somebody who's like, I want to get into exercise, but I don't really know where to start. This actually can complement that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've had a big pile of compost on my driveway for a couple weeks, just to slowly working my way through and shoveling that into a wheelbarrow and then over to my raised beds.
Wheelbarrows, I'm telling you, that works you out more than you ever think, trying to balance that and move that stuff around.
Absolutely.
One other aspect that is that it really does open doors to is socialization.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're looking for ways to make friends, because I hear it all the time, especially since 2020, since the pandemic, college students and young adults who are like, how do I make friends? a lot of it is finding an activity that you can connect with somebody, and gardening is a great way to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great way to open up an opportunity to talk to your neighbors, share produce back and forth, share, hey, how's your vegetable doing over here? How's your tomato plant doing? That's why a lot of people join the Master Gardener program too, is for the socialization of being around other gardeners too. So yeah, absolutely. And I think on campus it's even great too. So there's a horticulture club on campus still, I know, where you can get with some other people who are interested in gardening. So lots of opportunity.
And I've found that people who enjoy gardening like talking about it
and
sharing tips. It's not something, there's not a lot of, well, I guess, gatekeeping in gardening. You know, if somebody comes in and is like, hey, I'm trying to grow this, what advice do you have? People are happy to give that. Same thing, like if you go to a farmer's market and ask anybody about how they grow their produce, you'll hear about how they grow their produce. It's a great way to connect with people.
A lot of enthusiasm. And even social media too. We have a Facebook group where I think we have like thousands of members now, but just people sharing pictures of, hey, look what I grew, or asking a question, what's wrong with this plant? Can you help me identify it? There's a lot of interaction back and forth.
So that brings me to the next part of it, which is if somebody does want to get into gardening and they have no background, they have no, they've never done it before, their family did not, or they just don't have any experience, the idea of starting can be pretty daunting.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
you can grow all kinds of things, and you can grow them in all kinds of ways. And so what suggestions would you have for somebody who just wants to get started, who wants to give it a try? Where do they even begin?
Yeah, excellent question. I think one way to start, of course, is online. There's a ton of resources online, whether that's through us from Illinois Extension. We have a ton of YouTube videos you can watch, articles you can read, or whether you want to go to TikTok or whatever your source of kind of information is. I think that's a great place to start to kind of get some inspiration. And then ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. So whether that means going to your local garden center and asking the person that's working there, hey, I want to grow a tomato. Ask them for some tips, ask them for maybe what variety would be good. So just, talk it up with people, look for information online, and then you learn a lot by trying. Like you said, you tend to kill a lot of plants. That's how you learn. I've killed plenty of plants in my years of growing plants. That's how you learn. So don't be discouraged if you try something and it doesn't work out for some reason. Keep going, keep trying, and start small. If let's say you're interested in vegetables, maybe this year you get a container, you fill it with a nice potting soil, and you put one tomato plant in there. And that's kind of your experiment for the season. That's a great way to start.
And that's a good point too about starting small with the containers, but also, like I live in a small rural town. I've got a very big backyard. We have a garden in that backyard. I don't touch it because we like the plants to grow. I help support.
Sure.
I'll move stuff around, but I'm not the gardener in the family by any stretch. But not everybody lives in that kind of environment. If you live in an apartment or you live in a city or downtown, the campus. What are ways to have a garden in an indoor space or in a space where you don't have a backyard or a yard at all?
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So even indoors, you could grow herbs, you could grow something like that's going to be smaller and can still be on a container. If you have a sunny window that you can put it in front of, that's a great place to start. Or if you have a balcony available, that's great too. You can get a container to sit on the edge of your balcony to start some small plants in. And even if it's not vegetables or something to eat, houseplants. Man, we saw a huge increase in houseplants through the pandemic as well, because I think people just wanted to be surrounded by green. So that is still, of course, a great way to bring some outside inside for sure. Yeah.
And I did like in the prep, you mentioned that, if you're going to start small, if you're going to start, you don't have experience, start with something you like.
Right, exactly.
Something you want to eat, if it's food or a flower that you're particularly fond of.
Exactly.
Because that's going to give you more incentive to try.
The satisfaction of from seed all the way to harvest and then actually enjoying it is a huge thing. That's why what we do a lot of with kids programs. It's like showing them that whole process. Maybe that they go into it thinking, oh, I don't like lettuce. But then once they've seen it planted, they've taken care of it, they're much more likely to try it at the end. So if you don't like myself, I'm not a huge tomato person, so I don't grow tomatoes, even though that's the picture child of vegetable gardening, I feel like. So grow what you like, whatever that might be. Yeah.
And that enjoyment of seed to harvest is something. I remember the first time we planted carrots, we only got 2, but my son was thrilled. We had 2 carrots, and we made a salad and put those carrots on that one salad. It was the best thing ever.
It was worth it.
And the whole thing, now it's gotten better since then. But you're right, start small, and it'll give you that satisfaction. Now we are talking, anybody listening, wherever you are, this can apply.
Oh, yeah.
But if somebody did want to start here and they don't really have a preference on, let's say, vegetables.
Yeah.
But we're in Central Illinois. Are there certain ones that are easier in Central Illinois? Like, we're not growing coconut trees here.
No.
We're not growing. I love coconuts, but we're not going to get those here.
Yeah, we're not growing bananas or coconuts or oranges.
Are there any particular ones that just seem to thrive here where we are and are easy to grow that are a good place to start?
Sure. Yeah. A lot of times I'll recommend kind of some of the quicker season things, like the spring and the fall crops, because you can get a pretty quick harvest out of them. So let's say for spring, you want to do some lettuce seed, the carrots, like you mentioned, beets, Swiss chard, stuff like that, where you can plant them early in the season when you're still on campus and still maybe even still in school, and you can have a harvest by the time May, June comes around. So it's a fairly quick kind of turnaround. A lot of the things I recommend for people to start with first, because tomato, pepper, stuff like that, you planted it in the spring, but you're not going to get a harvest until July, August, once the real kind of heat comes on. So that's what I usually recommend, is some of those quicker, easier crops to start with, or even herbs. You can plant some basil seed and have a harvest from herbs in a fairly short period of time. Yeah.
And if you're growing in an apartment, one of the questions is, I'm going to have to bring soil in.
Right.
Is there a particular mix or a certain soil that you need to use or you advise?
Sure. Yeah. Tons of brands, obviously. But what you're looking for is a potting mix or potting soil, typically what they're going to call it. You're not going to get like a bag that says garden soil or topsoil, something like that, because that's going to be really heavy, really full of stuff that would be in the ground. What you're going to use in a container is actually not soil at all. It's a mix of peat moss and other kind of lighter weight things that hold a lot of water. So just look for a potting mix that's designed for containers, and that'll be perfect. Yeah.
You mentioned some resources here on campus. I want to go back and revisit those a little bit and get a little bit more in depth. If you could share, because I love our campus. I think our campus is beautiful. I always have. I love walking around our campus. There's a lot of really interesting places. So this is kind of a twofold question. Sure. Do you have what areas of campus might have a garden or a place where students or anyone can come and visit and kind of be inspired or see? The other thing is, what groups can they get contact with? The extension is one, but whether other groups can you get in contact with to get that help and get that advice?
Totally. Yeah. So I think the one that comes to mind for me, the biggest, is the Idea Garden, which we're here on Lincoln and McKinley. If you just head down the road a little bit, you'll find the Idea Garden close to the Arboretum, kind of down by where Vet Med is. And that is one of the biggest projects of the local master gardeners here in Champaign County. And the idea is it's a display garden, so you can come in anytime and check out all the areas in that garden. They have a vegetable area, they have an annuals, perennials, trees, shrubs, basically showing kind of all aspects of gardening. And you can come in anytime. There's labels, so you can kind of get inspiration for the plants, and the master gardeners are there maintaining that, providing some education, and whenever they're working there, they're always happy to answer questions too, which is awesome. And then while you're there, then you can walk around the Arboretum, check out their kind of display gardens. That would probably be my first one, since it's so close to campus. And we didn't talk about community gardens as an option too, but I'm sure I'm not familiar with any specific ones in this particular area, but most communities have at least one community garden where you can reach out and get a small plot of soil where you can grow plants in. So if that's an option for you, but you don't want to do it inside or on the balcony, you can try that out. That's a great one. So in terms of resources and on campus, like I said, definitely the horticulture club would be awesome to reach out to here on campus. And then, like I said, Extension and Master Gardeners is a great resource. Pretty much every county, they're going to have a help desk, so you can call the local extension office, ask any kind of gardening question, and they can help you out with that typically. So
I'm glad you brought up the community garden idea, because again, we're going back to the socialization aspect, but also because what you grow and where you grow it. If you're in a rural area, not all Central Illinois soil is the same.
Right, absolutely.
And there's certain places that because of their history or because they may be close to water or whatever it may be, that particular community may have, this grows really well, but this doesn't, whereas you go 5 miles down the road and it's something different.
Totally different.
And so that's an opportunity to go and ask. And again, people are very happy to share and say,
this worked for me, this didn't work for me. Yeah, absolutely.
Or in my area, our question right now is, how do we stop the rabbits? That's one issue that we have that not everybody has. But my particular neighborhood, rabbits are an issue. Yeah. So it's a good thing to go ask. Another place that's really good to ask is farmers markets. Yeah. We talked about that too. Yep. And you never know. Somebody may say, hey, come out with me sometime. I have that happen all the time. Come visit, come check it out. Yeah. We'd love to show you. Or especially if you want to get kids involved, people are very, very open to, hey, come on out. I'll show them a few things that can help out. It's just a really good way to connect on those levels.
Absolutely. I think the Sustainable Student Farm here too would probably be more than happy to have you come out, and they'd probably put you to work, have you volunteer and pull some weeds and stuff. But that's another great option too, is they grow a lot of produce out there.
So with your work with the UI Extension, are there any particular programs that are going on this summer or in the next coming months that would be really good to be aware of? Yeah,
I mean, it's going to vary from county to county depending on what type of programming they have available. So I would honestly just direct you to our website. So you could go to the Champaign County website if that's where you live, or if you're in any other county, check out what they have, because they may have a local series on introduction to vegetable gardening. They may be doing a landscaping series. It kind of varies from county to county based on what staff they have and what their volunteers are interested in. So definitely kind of do some research, find out what's going on in your area, because it's going to vary from area to area. And then we do have, of course, our Master Gardener program, which is available to anybody. So whether you want to become a volunteer or not, we call it just Illinois Gardener Training now, so that if you're just interested in learning more about gardening, you can actually take our online course. It's 60 hours of learning, so it's a lot of content, but you're going to learn a lot about gardening, but that's always an option too for anybody.
That was actually going to be my next question, because we've talked a lot about how to start. Yeah. But let's say you've been experienced, or you've been in it and you just want to advance. You want to go a little bit farther. So the Master Gardener program is what you would suggest.
Great route to go. Yeah, absolutely. So we have an online program. Some counties still offer some in-person trainings as well. But it's a great place, whether you're brand new or you're experienced, everybody's going to learn something throughout it. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time today, Candace, to share, because again, gardening is something that is accessible to pretty much anybody, no matter where you live or what your time frame is, or what your experience is. You can find something in the area of gardening with vegetables or flowers or whatever it may be, that you can find something that will fit to your needs and your desires. Mm-hmm. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to share that with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. Just get out there, have fun with it. Don't stress about it. Try it out. And if you fail, try again.
But before you go, I neglected to ask this. I do apologize. Yeah. If somebody wants to contact the U of I Extension, how do you do that?
Oh, yes. Excellent. So we do have a web page. Honestly, the easiest thing would be just to Google U of I Extension and then type in your county, and that'll get you direct to your county extension page. And from there, you'll be able to see what the Master Gardeners are up to, what other programs we offer, from health and wellness to economic vitality. We offer a ton of great programming. So head to our main website, and then you can filter out to get to your local county from there. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Candace.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
As the summer months hit us, everybody is looking for something to do, and a lot of us are looking for things to do outdoors. And there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of options, and one of those is gardening. And it's something you can do a little bit or a whole lot, whatever you like and however you want to approach it. So really encourage you to look into the U of I Extension information, look into local gardening options for you. Go to farmers markets, check out message boards, things like that, just to see what might fit for you, because it really does have such a great impact on so many different aspects of our lives in so many ways. And if you have questions, reach out to your local areas. Reach out to us here at Healthy Illini. We'll be happy to put you in contact with who can help you out, put you in contact with people who can have discussions with you, give you some tips, those types of things. We'd love to be a part of that journey with you. Thank you for joining us today. You're on a personal journey no matter where you are in it. You are important and you matter. Your health and wellness are important and matter, and we are here to keep you well to excel. So go have a great week, Illini. Let us know how you're doing, and we'll catch you next time on Healthy Illini.